Hello, this is Faith at Faith&books. How are you doing? This video is going to be about what I'm planning to do for Advent. And it's related to a book that I stumbled on, but also the fact that I'm having real trouble with sugar cravings right now. And it all started with COVID because I had terrible sore throat and a cough. And I got this, and I lived off of these for days, and it was the only thing that kept me from coughing my lungs out, and calmed the irritation of my throat. But its first ingredients is sugar, second ingredient is corn syrup. So I tend to steer clear of sugar as much as possible. I'm not very good at it, but I do try to keep my sugar intake maybe lower than average, than maybe the average person's, because I know that it causes issues for me. And so I've fasted from sugar in the past, but because I was taking in so much that I don't usually, and then this was followed by Halloween, and I'm really like back to where I used to be, where I would just binge eat stuff. And that's bad. I haven't been like that bad in a long time. And so I really need to get it under control because I'm feeling terrible. And so, I'm trying to cut back now, but I think that for me, since Advent is coming near, and I still have to get over Thanksgiving, that for me, it's good to strategize. And if it's in a particular season where I feel like I can really focus, I think that will help me be more self-disciplined. And so that's what I plan to do. So that sounds crazy to fast from sugar during Advent because, Christmas. But I think I can do it. And for a couple of reasons. One, I think for me, Advent is a time of prayer, almsgiving, and fasting. People forget that you're supposed to fast during Advent because everyone just, it's really blended with the Christmas season. So people are already out partying and stuff when they shouldn't be because the event hasn't happened yet. And so it's really supposed to be a lesser Lent. And if you follow the liturgical year, Lent is the 40 days that leads up to Easter, and that is a time of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. And so, everyone knows about giving up something for Lent, but really in Advent, you're supposed to do something too. Now it's a lesser Lent, so it doesn't go to the same, level, but still you should give up. And so since the world is so crazed about Christmas, for me, I usually see myself as fasting from Christmas. So when I'm during Advent, I try not to listen to Christmas carols. For instance, I have a playlist of Advent hymns, and I listen to them. Now, if I'm in the car with somebody and they have Christmas music on, or I go to the store and I'll hear Christmas music, but in my own home, I'm keeping Advent, and I don't listen to Christmas carols until Christmas Eve. And I try to put the tree up as late as possible, as close to Christmas as possible. If you wait till Christmas Eve, though, there are no good trees. We always get a live tree, and there are no good trees left. So we have to get it like the week before, and sometimes we do decorate them, or we just leave it outside and put it up. We never quite make it to waiting till Christmas Eve. This year, I'm thinking, what if we put it up, but we just don't decorate it? Because that's kind of fasting too, right? You have to wait until the actual event to celebrate. So anyway, I think that will make it a little bit easier for me because it's not like I do a lot of Christmas treats during Advent anyway. So, some will come in, other people will bring them in, but I'm not likely to bring them in. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if I give myself time to strategize and think ahead, I think I can come up with things that will make it seem like it isn't as hard as it could be. So I've been kind of coming up with ideas. I'm just going to go with fruit for my sweets. And during Advent, there's 3 things that go on in our house during Advent. One is fairly new, is celebrating St. Nicholas Day. when I was homeschooling my kids for many, many years, our co-op group always had a big St. Nicholas thing. And then I didn't really do it at home, I think, for my younger kids, but for the 7-year-old grandson, I have started doing St. Nicholas, putting out the shoe, and you get little treats and stuff. And so on that day, I think I'm going to give him a Christmas ornament and some coins. Maybe you could use those coins to give to the poor, like St. Nicholas did. And, other things. I'm not going to give him candy. I think when he goes to school, they have, every year, the school that he goes to has someone who dresses up like St. Nick, and they walk around giving out candy canes, I think. So I think he's going to get that at school. But for dinner that night, since it's a feast, I think for dessert, I don't know what I'm going to serve for the actual dinner, but for dessert, I decided to go with, Turkish apricots, because the original St. Nick came from Turkey. And so I think I'm going to make a fruit compote of dried fruit, and then maybe put some whipped cream on top, and that will be our dessert. And it sounds like it could be really delicious, and it would be appropriate for St. Nick's Day. So that's how I'm going to be festive and with some sweetness, but not go overboard and still stick to the fast. The fast is from refined sugar and a processed or refined carbohydrates. So anyway, so December 6th is St. Nick's Day. I think we'll celebrate with the shoes and little gifts, and then we'll have this for dessert. This is one of the ingredients, and I think that would be a fun thing. Then another day that we celebrate in Advent that's fun is Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is there's actually 2 feast days. There's December 9th. Well, let me back up. December 8th is actually a holy day of obligation for Catholics. We have to go to, at least in the U.S., we have to go to Mass on that day. That's the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Then December 9th is the feast of Saint Juan Diego, who was the one that saw the apparition of Mary, Our Lady of Guadalupe. And Our Lady of Guadalupe is definitely the bigger feast. That's the 12th. I don't know if I'll have my act together to also celebrate Saint Juan Diego officially. I'm not sure about that. But I was thinking what I could do is have fried plantains. I've done this before when I went on sugar fast. It's a very satisfying dessert. And if you want, you can put some honey and cinnamon on them. But they're actually really good if you just fry them up really quickly, because I think it crystallizes the sugar. Plantains aren't as sweet as bananas, but when you fry them up, they get sweeter. And it's really filling. Everybody in my family loves it. So I think I'm going to do whatever Mexican meal we're going to have that night, and then fried plantains for dessert as a treat. And if I have my act together for St. Juan Diego on December 9th, or if I really want to do it up for Our Lady of Guadalupe, one treat that I've been doing is getting the gluten-free corn tortillas, and I cut them into quarters, and then I fry them up in coconut oil, and then you dust them with salt, and you sprinkle them with a little lime juice, and you eat them warm, and they are so delicious. So it's like a savory treat, but really filling, and satisfying. So that could be either added on to Our Lady of Guadalupe or done for St. Juan Diego. So that would be another way of having a special dessert or a special treat that doesn't involve refined sugar, and it would feel festive. And then the other thing that my family does in particular, because my husband is Jewish, is we always celebrate Hanukkah. And, people do get the chocolate coins, the gelt. So other people might have that. I'm not. But what's satisfying to me are just the latkes, because you can get the unsweetened applesauce and the sour cream, and it's a delicious treat. So I don't feel the need to have a big dessert for Hanukkah, because the treat is the latkes, the applesauce, and the sour cream. So that, and that's a festive thing too, because you play dreidel and you sing songs and stuff like that, and the family will come over. So we'll have festive things going on during Advent. It just won't be Christmas festive things. And then, of course, we'll have our Advent calendar, which doesn't involve sugar. It's, I'll show it another time, but it's a wooden one, and it's got all the pieces of the nativity, so that by the 24th, that's when you put the little baby Jesus out. So we'll have that. We'll have the Advent wreath on the table. So it'll be festive, but it won't be Christmassy. And I think I can do it because I do Christmas a little bit differently, maybe, than a lot of people. So the book, I got my Kindle and it just died. So I need to, look, low battery. So I wanted to show it to you. It's by Wendy Speake, Speake, and it's called The 40-Day Sugar Fast. And it's, the subtitle is, oh my gosh, something to do with from physical detox to spiritual transformation. And what it is it's a devotional. She doesn't really go into how to fast from sugar. She has resources in the back. And I haven't read the whole thing. I've read about 40%. But I really like it. I think it's just Christian. It's not specifically Catholic. But there's nothing in here that isn't just really deep thinking. And I love that she acknowledges that sugar is an addiction and that people really, really struggle with it. And it's very hard to avoid because it's in all the processed foods, and we're just shoved candy, all over the place, all the time, especially this time of year. So it's really a tough thing to pass from. It really is. And so I love that she acknowledges the desperation and despair you can feel when you're trying to refrain from eating sugar, and how the consequences are going to be really bad. And sugar, I'm going to link to some TED Talks, because sugar is really bad for you. It's really bad for your health. It really is supposed to be just an occasional treat, an emphasis on occasional. And we just eat way, way, way too much of it. It's very, very unhealthy. And I have several problems as a Christian with sugar. So first of all, my body's supposed to be a temple of the Holy Spirit. And that means I'm supposed to have respect. I'm supposed to have respect for God's creation. I'm supposed to be grateful for this body that God has given me, as flawed and imperfect as it is. And so I should not abuse it by eating so much sugar. And just because the world is, shoveling sugar at me, the whole system that I happen to live in is just shoveling at me. I should be in the world, but not of the world. And so I should not consume all this sugar. It's bad for my health. It's not respectful to my body. It's not respectful to children to be shoving. We're always shoving candy at children, and it's so bad for their health. It's, they predict that in a couple of decades, 1 out of 3 people or adults in the United States are going to have type 2 diabetes. That's horrible. That's like worse than the pandemic, okay? We should be doing something about this. But the other thing that I have problems with sugar and with chocolate is that there is slave labor involved in both. So you're eating all this cheap Domino's sugar, or you're going out and getting your Hershey's Kisses, and they've been, you're participating in slave labor, and we're going to be judged by what we did for the least of our brothers, right? And if if it's all about your own consumption and your own pleasure, and you can't see beyond what's right in front of you, you can't see the consequences of your buying habits, how it's hurting the poor and it's exploiting other human beings, that's bad, right? There's so much slavery going on in the world right now. So, and when so you should only do, I'm talking to myself, fair trade sugar and fair trade chocolate. That's it. If I can't get that, I shouldn't be doing it. Now you can do honey and you can do maple syrup. Those two are acceptable. And there's stevia, which I've never tried stevia. I don't know why. I just have this aversion to it. But a lot of people swear by it, and it doesn't raise your blood sugar. So maybe you can do that. But but I'm just, I'm sticking, and I'm only going to do honey and, not molasses. I'm not going to do molasses. Honey or maple syrup occasionally. So I can't do you can't do 100%. It's really hard to do 100%. So I do fruit, and I do some maple syrup, some honey. And the one thing I'm not going to give up is alcohol, because I don't drink very much alcohol to begin with. And I do like to have an occasional glass of wine with my family, or like at Hanukkah, we have a glass of wine or something. So I'm not going to give that up, but it's not like I do that very much to begin with. So it's not, I don't think it's an issue. Also, I want to have mulled wine at some point. I really like mulled wine. I think it was last Christmas, my oldest son made mulled wine. It was just delicious. And it was all those Christmassy smells. So I'm not going to give that up. But I am giving up all refined sugar, all baked goods, all refined carbs. And then what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I was even thinking, not that I have to, but I'm kind of going to extend it into Christmas itself, because Christmas morning, I saw this recipe for sugarless broiled grapefruit, and it sounded like it would smell really good, because you make it with ginger and nutmeg and cinnamon, and you broil it. And again, just like the frying of the plantains, that crystallizes the sugars in the grapefruit itself, which it was a very low glycemic fruit to begin with. But anyway, and so that sounds really Christmassy tasting to me, and like it would be a treat on Christmas morning. And then I think I'm going to do poached pears, and I'm going to do sugarless poached pears for dessert, Christmas dessert. Now, probably if people come over for Christmas, they're going to bring pies and stuff, so other people can eat the pies, and maybe if it's gluten-free, I will too. But I'm going to do the poached pears as well. So, and doesn't poached pears sounds really festive, right? So I think you can do all the festive stuff with all the great smells, and just stick to fruit. And I think it'll be okay. So anyway, so I'm getting ready for this, and I hopefully I'll be able to do it. The book is really, like I said, she doesn't go into detail about the diet, but it is wonderfully, inspirational and encouraging, and it's really deep theology. I thought. I've appreciated it so far. Now, this is 40 days. It would be better for Lent. Advent just starts the 4 Sundays before Christmas. So this year it starts November 27th, and then it just goes up to Christmas Eve. So I'm just going to pick and choose what I'm going to read. I'm just going to glance through. But I am going to try and read this every day just for encouragement. So anyway, I will link to this book below, and I will link to a couple of TED Talks that I've been watching about sugar and just how bad it is. I might do that too to encourage myself. Just watch videos on how horrible sugar is for you, because it is. So I hate to be a Debbie Downer, and it's not really being a Debbie Downer. It's just being, taking the long view of things and trying to figure out ways to still be festive and celebratory, and but at the same time not get into these very worldly, self-destructive stuff that goes on. All right, so that's it from me. Probably nobody wants to hear this, but if you do, join me. If you need to fast from sugar, I'd welcome the company. All right, take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.